In January 2005, and again in 2006, University of Delaware students traveled to Fiji on a study abroad under the direction of geography professor April Veness and her Fijian-born assistant, Lucy Browning. Located in the Western Pacific, Fiji is composed of over 300 islands and embodies a blending of native and foreign cultural influences. British, Indian, and even Chinese have settled here, creating a diverse ethnic mix. However, unlike many nations, indigenous Fijians still own and control 83% of the country. While larger cities such as the capital Suva look and feel modern, the life and customs on the more remote islands have been less affected and remain in keeping with the traditional indigenous way of life. For this reason, both student programs included a visit to the island of Kadavu and the village of Dravuwalu, where Lucy's father was born.
I remember our bodies being slammed against the bottom and sides of the boats. I knew we were going to have some sore bottoms tomorrow. The water was crystal clear and the salt spray was always hitting us in the face. But by focusing on the beauty of Fiji, it took away from the beating we were receiving. After about an hour and a half of bouncing along, we found ourselves in calmer water. We had arrived at the village of Dravuwalu. Even before we could see their faces, we could hear their voices. They gathered at the shore to welcome us with their songs and smiles. Their overworked hands clapped perfectly in time as they joined in harmony. When we arrived at the stone seawall, they overwhelmed us with smiles, cries of bula, and sincere embraces.
We were almost immediately ushered into an open bamboo and corrugated metal shelter and given our first kava ceremony. This was their traditional way of welcoming us to the village and was one of the rare times that we actually drank kava in the formal ceremonial context.
Normally, you can't just enter a village. You need to be a guest of someone from that village to gain entry into the village, and you need to ask permission through ceremonial rituals that is done in the village. The most common way to do this is to present kava or yangona through what they called a sebu-sebu. The chief then reciprocates by offering kava to the guests and the land they come from. This ritual means the guests are given permission to enter the village.
The memory that cannot escape my mind is that of constant song and spontaneous dance, accompanied by contagious smiles. And it wasn't just their natural harmonies, it was the ease and comfort with which they delivered their songs. It was like a second language to them, a language that they shared through many different generations.
The men and women sang, the children danced, and it was truly an overwhelming and heartwarming experience.
To me, one of the most impressive parts of Dravuwalu was how the people were understanding of and attuned with nature.
Rarely do you see a wristwatch in the village, yet tasks always seem to be performed on time.
Because of extremely drastic differences in water depth between low and high tide, and drastic heat changes as the sun comes over the village throughout the day, men must plan their work around Mother Nature's schedule. Fish tend to rest at night, so the village men often take their spears to the sea after kava ceremonies end late at night and return before the sun starts to rise. After this, they bring their fish back and perform other tasks such as chopping firewood and collecting fruit at the crack of dawn before the sun makes physical labor unbearable.
The women cook, clean, do laundry by hand, and watch over the children. The work gets done happily with everyone talking and laughing. Men and women teased and joked together, but I never saw husbands and wives kissing, hugging, or being romantic. It was more how I think of brothers and sisters acting in America.
New Year's time is unusual in the village. Certain practices such as dancing, chanting, and teasing are unique to the first 2 weeks of the new year.
No one got mad or took offense to the jokes. It was a close-knit community, but I often wondered who belonged to which family. The elders of the village were respected by everyone. They were never kept out of a conversation or considered too old to hang out. People of every age spent time together. Their lives are so intertwined. It was refreshing and so different from my experience back home.
Dance connected the people of the village. The children with sirenes performed for us. Amongst the young adults and teenagers, dancing became a game. One invited another to dance by approaching them and tapping them on their folded legs. The dance only lasted until the end of the song and was well behaved by Western standards, as elders often looked on.
Dancing or meke is a Fijian way of life. Meke ceremonies are performed during official and social gatherings, and performances enact stories and legends. Men, women, and children participate in meke. Men perform spear dances, and women perform fan dances. The arrangement of the group and very subtle movement have significance. Children are taught at a very young age by adults.
The young and old partook in dance during all times of the day. Tea time, after dinner, during kava.
Kava is a traditional Fijian drink made by mixing the root of a yankona plant with water in a big bowl known as a tanoa. Originally, it was used exclusively for ceremonies and religious rituals, but it has now become a daily occurrence.
Historically, kava was prepared by young girls chewing the root into a soft, pulpy mass and then spitting them into a bowl. It is then diluted with water and served to the chiefs. It was only used by chiefs and priests in ceremonial rituals.
Although not always used in formal ceremonies, the drinking follows a traditional set of customs. We would sit in a circle, the tanoa located on one edge, in front of whoever was in charge of preparation. If the chief was present, he would sit directly opposite the tanoa. One or two people would serve coconut shells full of kava around the circle until everyone had taken a hold. When receiving a drink, one would respond by thanking the server with a bula vanaka, a warm greeting and thanks, and then drink the bowl all at once. The server would clap while you drank, and then after finishing, you would return the empty bowl and say, "Mada," meaning empty. Good. When consumed, the kava induces a tingling, numbing sensation on your tongue, and after drinking for a considerable amount of time, it can put you in a mellow, content disposition.
There was never a night where we were not entertained around the kava bowl. One evening, the entire village was sitting by the tanoa, entertaining themselves with the traditional kava ceremony. Eventually, the party revealed itself to a more westernized type of entertainment. Men strummed their guitars while others sang. Not long after, the electric boombox was plugged in and began blaring the catchy melodies of Fijian pop artists.
Singing joined the community together. The songs told stories that joined the children to their ancestors.
Children are required to go to church every Sunday, where they listen and learn traditional hymns sung by the choir.
At the nightly kava sessions, men shared stories and joined in song. Every night I spent in the village, I was lulled to sleep by the distant sound of their voices. Before dawn, I often heard the voices of men singing as they left for fishing.
There is hardly any waste in the village. The people find a way to use almost everything nature provides. Take the coconut trees, for example. First, juice from the coconut is consumed, then meat is eaten, the shells are used as kava bowls, and the string is used to mix kava or tie equipment together. The dried out leaves can be used to start fires.
Traditionally, women would cook freshly speared fish over a blazing fire, laying the fish atop coconut leaves so they did not burn. Today, it is clear that westernized food preparation styles are at work. Right around dinner time, women could be seen cooking their nightly meals in industrial-sized pots, or even using ovens to prepare their family's meal.
The village spent hours making meals. Our meals were always fresh.
A lot of the Fijian food we had, we'd never heard of. And for us, it was the first time ever tasting things like Dalo leaves, taro, prawns, ferns, and a whole array of tropical fish.
For the more special occasions, we had fresh pork and chicken. Nothing was ever a day old, and food never went to waste. The men ate, and then the women and children, leaving no leftovers.
The people of Dravuwalu were so open and friendly. They shared all they had with us and with each other. We didn't need anything that they couldn't provide. This communal way of living meant sharing food and work.
It is obvious to see that Dravuwalu is not only tied to nature by their food and daily schedules. Notice the colors of the clothing, for example. The bright colors and flower prints bear a close resemblance to the types of colors that fill the landscape of Dravuwalu. Even some houses are brightly painted to match the environment.
Kinship ties are an important part of how Fijians interact with one another. Occasions like the introduction of a child to his or her mother's village signifies the importance of kinship. Gifts are presented and exchanged by the child's paternal and maternal relatives. Even though there is an emphasis on the male line of descent, maternal relatives are considered strong relationships that exist between a child and his or her mother's people. These exchanges are carried out so that people involved enhance each other's status and reaffirm their ties.
A cash economy has recently started to chip away at the trading and bartering systems used in the past. Some men in the village own motorized boats, making it necessary for petroleum and other modernized items to come to the village. However, goods produced inside villages are still exchanged between villages as gifts, including Dalo or taro, a root crop that is a staple in Fiji, or animals such as pigs.
Indigenous goods are more often exchanged than traded because of the emphasis on communal traditions, which does not encourage individual accumulation of wealth. This comes from the Fijian idea that people are expected to put their individual desires and needs after the concerns of the community. These gifts are passed around and given to others on occasions such as the birth of a baby, weddings, or birthdays.
When they first told Aaron and I that the village would be celebrating our birthday, I had no idea what to expect. I was taken back to my house, where my host family wrapped me in layers of Maasai cloth, in the formal traditional fashion. Aaron and I were paraded from our houses to the spot of the ceremony, where most of the village was already waiting. Namba, one of the young Fijian men, was celebrating his 21st birthday, so we were to share in his ceremony. The women had prepared a breathtaking feast, including special pork and chicken dishes. The ceremony proceeded with prayer and an emotional speech from Namba. Namba could barely hold back tears of joy, and I was honored to have been part of such a meaningful moment in his life.
Birthdays are not a big deal for Fijians. Gifts and personal attention are not hardly given on birthdays. A 21st birthday is different and is marked with gifts and celebration. In Fijian way of life, 21st birthday is a very important age. This age signifies an adolescent's transition to adulthood. A wooden key initialed with the number 21 is often presented by the parents to the child as a symbol of freedom and independence. The independence key to open the door to a new life. He or she is now permitted to venture into the new world.
The people of Dravuwalu made me feel relaxed, confident, and welcome. I felt more like myself than I often do here in the United States. I would gladly go back and often wish I could give Americans a glimpse of what it was like to live there.
People of Dravuwalu welcomed the visitors from Delaware with open arms. The last 2 years had been a success to the village economically and socially. They mentioned that the students' visit deserved to be in the history book of the village. Never before have they had such a large group of American students visit the village. When you stay in their village, you become one of them, not a guest. This bond and relationship formed goes much deeper and remains with the people of Dravuwalu long after their American friends return home.
I feel so blessed to have visited Fiji, especially to have had the opportunity to go to the village of Dravuwalu. I feel like that experience is just so unique, and I'll never experience anything like that ever again.
Living in Dravuwalu was an amazing experience. The people were friendly, the landscape was beautiful, and it was really hard to have to leave.
One of the eldermen in the village gave me a necklace one afternoon, and I have it hanging on my wall, and every time I look at it, the memories just come flooding back of the wonderful people, their smiling faces, and all the traditions that they shared with us.
What stayed with me the most is the affection that the people in Dravuwalu showed to us. I'm glad that I wore sunglasses when I was leaving the village, because I had to fight back tears on the boat ride.
What I remember most about the trip to Fiji was the people that we met and the way that they just shared everything that they had with us and opened their lives completely to us, and I'd never experienced that going somewhere totally foreign to me.
I think it was Samisi, one of the village elders, that said it best, and it went something like, "You may find more beautiful beaches than Dravuwalu, but you will never find more beautiful people."